It's Thursday, January 14th. This is The Street Live. I'm Katherine Ross, and I am joined by Jim Cramer. Jim, there were 965,000 jobless claims filed just last week. What else are you going to be watching in the markets today?
Well, look, that number is indicative of how badly we need stimulus. I think it should be targeted stimulus. I think it should be going to people like the 960,000 people, and not just everybody who then goes on, has a job, younger people, and they go right to Robinhood and they buy stocks. Nothing wrong with that, but I would like to see, as my friend Matt Horween and I were batting back and forth, who writes with me, that we are really in a situation, I mean, very much a situation where it is important that the right people get the money. And that would mean giving to the people who don't have it.
So, as you mentioned, later Thursday, we're actually supposed to hear from President-elect Biden on his stimulus plan. This is supposed to include more unemployment benefits as well as more aid for average Americans. You just hit the nail on the head there, Jim, with the Robinhood investors. But how bullish is overall stimulus for the markets?
Well, I mean, for the market, it's great. For the people who are hurting, it's not great. They need to get all the money that we're giving to the people who are, let's just say, gainfully employed and maybe have student debt. If you forgive student debt, by the way, then you'd really be able to fuel some sort of rally. I mean, there are two economies. There's the invest in stocks economy, and there's the real economy. And the invest in stocks economy is just being fueled like never before, as we saw from BlackRock's numbers. And the money's going into a select few stocks, but boy, is it going in.
Jim, I've got some good news. The news you've been waiting for is here. J&J's one-shot vaccine is showing that it is safe and effective, which means that it is very promising as a third vaccine candidate. You actually just received your first shot of a Moderna vaccine just yesterday. So what does a third vaccine mean for the markets?
Well, I mean, first of all, there was an article yesterday in the New York Times that basically kind of cast aspersions on the J&J. So then they have to come out after the J&J release of the study and kind of backtrack. I don't think that J&J's, the FDA, actually the Operation Warp Speed guys are saying that J&J may not be ready with enough vaccines. I don't think that they're the people we should count on. I think we should talk about J&J. J&J said that they were on schedule. It was interesting that the New York Times has avoided J&J's comment about them being on schedule. And I think that that's the more important news. As far as my getting Moderna, the system is incredibly haphazard. What happened is one of my great producers, Heather Gaines, was playing whack-a-mole with the different sites. I mean, they come up and like, you got to register immediately. I'm 65. I was able to get a site in Staten Island. I think it's very funny that a lot of people thought I was really privileged because of my media status. Well, let me ask you, would you really go to a tent in Staten Island if you were, big and famous guy? No.
Jim, I want to ask, are you feeling any side effects from the vaccine? How was the process overall?
No, I am not. Now, I want to be clear about this. There are many people who, on the second shot, do feel badly. And I get that February 10, my birthday. I didn't feel, to me, I didn't even feel the needle. The people were incredibly nice, but it is ridiculous because they have these appointment windows, and the appointment windows are long. They're not ready to handle lots of people. I mean, you would have expected that you would go to a facility and there would be hundreds of people there vaccinating people. But there were three people. One was a clerk, one was a greeter, and one was a jabber. There was no line. I mean, I had my appointment. I came 12:45 for my 1 o'clock appointment. I got it. I think that's absolutely just fantastic. But I've got to tell you, that's not scalable. And the states, that Trump put this in the lap of the states. Well, look, there's so many things going on now with Trump, but it's a disgrace. And it means that we're going to, this would have been the thing that got the economy going more than anything else in the world. And that once the president realized, I think that it was just a really bad thing. He tried to lay it off on the states so it wouldn't taint him. And I don't fear him. I mean, this is just a terrible way. This whole idea of giving to the states is just moronic. But look, a lot of things were moronic, and people are willing to talk about it now, and people scared to talk about it because they don't want to get hectored by the people who took over the Capitol. But this is just so stupid.
Jim, I want to circle back to the
Probably just like
stock
50
market.
people. I'm sorry, go ahead. It was just crazy.
I want to circle back to the stock market because I want to ask you about your mad dash. This morning it was PENN National. It has been a minute since we were able to discuss this company, but it's now trading around $104 a share. I do want to say sorry, Bill Enray, our colleague and your co-host over on Bull Market Fantasy, because he's been watching this stock. Is it too late to get into PENN if you're really interested in this name?
Well, I thought the stock was going to go down because of this analyst at Loop Capital taking from hold to sell. And that would be an absolutely terrific opportunity because Michigan gambling is about to start. And one of the theses, there are many things. They talked about a red flag CFO leaving, red flag other executives leaving. Talk about how the company's not gaining share. I don't really know if that's true. And they basically portray it as something that turbocharged stock with a lot of hot money in it. I come back, I say it's a $16 billion company, which is very little versus the opportunity. And next week, Michigan starts, and Michigan's going to be gigantic. A lot of, you got big football games, you got March Madness. I mean, you got so much stuff going on. So, yes, I would buy the stock. I would buy some now. It's up 20% this year, and then some later, betting that maybe another company downgrades it, another brokerage house. But this downgrade was your chance, and so many people took it before I could get more people in it.
And let's talk about your stop trading, because this morning it was Plug Power, and this comes after a note from JP Morgan that put Plug Power at neutral and said that the company is fully valued. I mean, Jim, we kind of just touched on this, but I want to dig deep in this. Is this just proof that analysts on Wall Street are kind of out of touch with the younger investors and what they're interested in?
Well, I think that like when I asked Petco about what are they doing to try to save animals, I think that I just saw a reference right this morning to, and this company has a good ESG story. It was just a throwaway line. There is an unwillingness of Wall Street to embrace the concept of ESG as a reason for people to buy, almost as if it's a multiple enhancer, because they're just very traditional in the way that they analyze stocks. Now, I think it's absolutely great that they continue to do what they do, but it's wrong that they don't mention that the reason why Plug Power has been bid up is because it is pro-environment. And that's what people buy. I mean, remember, there's people who are listening to the fabulous David Portnoy at PENN, who does the Barstool for PENN, and they're betting on stocks, and they're betting on ball games, and they're also betting on stocks. And the kind of stock that they buy is Plug Power. So, I mean, we should at least include them in the cohort of what's driving the stock. But people are still very hidebound. They'll get the message eventually.
Sticking on the ESG train, you sat down last night on Mad Money with Mark Bedard, CEO of Lion Electric. When investors are eyeing the electric vehicle space right now, do you have a timeline on when you think that this sector is really going to be ripe for the picking?
Well, I mean, I think that what you have to do is just look at who's commercial. And right now, in Northern Genesis is the SPAC, NGA. It's moving up big, but that's going to be Lion. They're very commercial, and they have a lot of good customers, including Amazon. There was a note this morning about PepsiCo trying to go green as fast as it can. There's a deal, a strategic alliance with Lion and PepsiCo. And PepsiCo has all those delivery trucks, and that would be terrific for them to switch to Lion. And since Lion's already making things and has a lot of different models, that's what you buy. So you're looking for some companies that are commercializing or commercial. And that way you won't get caught if the winds suddenly change.
Tesla was asked by the NHTSA to recall around 158,000 vehicles due to touchscreen failures. Now, this recall really mostly impacts older Model S and Model X sedans and SUVs, but is this a concern at all from a Wall Street perspective?
No. I mean, they'll fix it. I mean, Tesla is is a tech company, and sometimes you have to recall things. There's so much tech in those cars. But no, it's not going to cause a shortfall in sales going forward, and that's what matters.
Jim, you sat down this morning with Petco CEO as they go public again. You asked this question directly of Petco versus Chewy and whether or not there's enough space for Petco, PetSmart, and Chewy in this environment.
Right.
What's interesting to me is that I've been doing a lot of research. Chewy definitely is the cheapest one overall, and I do love that it comes directly to my door. Do you think that Petco can kind of bite into the younger generation who really appreciates having everything come to them?
Not initially, no. Even though that they offer very similar in terms of performance, and but Chewy is the millennial way to do it. Petco, I mean, Chewy's Robin Hood, okay, and Petco is Bank of America Merrill Lynch. I just don't think that they, or you could say that it's Zelle and Chewy is PayPal. So I do think that it's going to take a little bit for the younger investors to realize how good Petco is. Ron Coughlin amazing. I do think that this new Petco, which is really soup to nuts healthcare, is a very, very powerful company with great gross margins. It had been a loser, and now it's very much a winner. I understand that you are getting a pet. How are you going about it?
Yeah, for Christmas, I was given a mini Schnauzer puppy. I'm going to pick him up this weekend. I'm very excited. So I'll keep you in the loop. But so far, I've got to say, Jim, most of besides for the one Petco run that I made, it's been mostly Chewy because Chewy is the cheapest.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've done everything. Chewy sent us a great, when NVIDIA passed away, Chewy sent us a nice painting of NVIDIA, and I think that Chewy is remarkable. Petco will not offer that kind of personal care. They'll offer vets though in the store. We happen to have my wife's niece is a vet right nearby, and we unfortunately, when NVIDIA was fighting for his life, it was constant vet care, and it's cash pay. So if you can get any sort of break on vet, then it's really worth it. And that's another thing that Petco offers. So I think the story of Petco will grow. Will it hurt Chewy? It takes forever to hurt one of these stocks. I mean, it just takes forever because Chewy is a concept stock, and Tesla, concept stock. And concept means that it's immune to short-term slings and arrows. That's the best way to put it.
All right, and with that, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Jim, thank you as always for joining us today. Guys, we're now heading over to our Action Alerts Plus daily rundown show over on actionalertsplus.com. You're not going to want to miss this because Jim has been making some action. He was buying today after selling a little bit earlier this week. So come on over. We're going to talk about it. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.